What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC Abu Dhabi. We have Umar Nurmagomedov going against Corey Sandhagen. 13 fight card, fight night card that I think is really good. I mean, I think it's a fun card from a fan perspective. I think from a betting perspective, some spots certainly sticking out. I do have 10 bets, 8 of them being plus money. So yeah, I can't wait to break it all down. Before we get into it, if you guys could please do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and leave me a comment. You know, could be positive, could be negative. It helps the algorithm, and I do appreciate every single one. So comment down below. Does go a long way. And as always, going to be breaking down these fights from a betting perspective and a betting perspective only. If you do want a further, more in-depth breakdown on why I'm picking who, I did do a full card breakdown and prediction video that was posted on Thursday. And then finally, we do have an early start time. The fights are kicking off at 12 o'clock Eastern time. So for best bet, I'm going to be going live 1 hour prior to the prelims, and that is going to be at 11 o'clock Eastern time. If you guys are up and want to watch something or want something to do, come check out Best Bet. Going to be going live 1 hour before the fights kick off. All right, with all that out of the way, I say we get into it, break down these fights, talk some bets, and we're going to kick it off with the first fight of the night. But before I break this down, I want to clarify that I am not on drugs. I don't do drugs. I stay away from them. And with that said, I do have a 1-unit bet on Dennis Tuoluen at plus 195. And the reason being is I just can't fathom how SD Dumas is minus 240 here. I think the general consensus is, you know, Dennis Tuoluen sucks. And I agree. You know, I would agree with that. It's just, what has SD Dumas shown in the UFC to be a minus 240 favorite? And I don't know. I haven't seen anything. I can't say one good thing about SD Dumas inside or outside the cage. I mean, this is a guy that, even in his 2 wins, like against Abu Azaitar, I thought he lost that fight. It was a horrible fight. Nothing happened. And then against Cody Brundage, it was the worst fight I've ever seen in my entire life. So, yes, Dennis Tuoluen's ground game is very, very bad, but is Dumas going to be able to take him down? I'm not so sure. Is he even going to try to take him down? I'm not so sure. And on the feet, like, Dumas is concerningly low volume. Dennis is going to be higher volume. Dennis is going to have more power. So, at plus 195, I had to take a 1-unit shot. It's disgusting. Trust me, I felt terrible. I feel awful putting this bet in, but geez, I just don't understand why Dumas is this big of a favorite. So give me Dennis Tuoluen. I'm liking a lot of dogs this week, and believe it or not, Dennis is one of them that I think is live, or at least more live than this plus 195 indicates. Next, we got Jai Herbert going against Rolando Bedoya. Another dog bet here. I've got 1 unit on Rolando Bedoya. This was my first bet of the week. Got him at plus 140, and he is currently plus 105, plus 110. So beat some line movement here. And for me personally, I think there are some reasons to like the dog money on Bedoya. He's going to be 9 years younger. I think he's going to have the durability advantage, and I think he's going to have a massive volume advantage as well. Bedoya is a guy that's landed over 100 significant strikes thus far in his 2 UFC fights, and Jai Herbert's a guy that has not surpassed 50 significant strikes thus far in his entire UFC career. Jai Herbert now 36 years old. He's fighting a lot more tentatively. He's going in there. He's fighting a lot more conservatively than he has been in the past, just because I feel like he's doing that because he just can't afford to go out there and get into wars anymore. I just feel like he doesn't have the chin, the durability to do so. So yeah, I'm on Bedoya here, as is everybody else. But this money line has come down quite a bit. So Bedoya money line for me. Next, we got Victoria Dudikova going against Sam Hughes, and honestly, this could be another dog shot. I ended up staying away, and I'm actually picking Dudikova, but I do think this is going to be a very close fight. The reason I am picking Dudikova here is I feel like, you know, Sam Hughes, a lot of her wins are like come from behind wins where her opponents are getting tired, slowing down. I just don't think Dudikova is going to be going out there and gassing out. I think Dudikova can land shots on the feet, and I think a big part of Dudikova's game here game plan is going to be the takedown. Sam Hughes, not the best takedown defense. So yeah, I think it goes to decision. I think it's close. It is probably a dog or pass, but I ended up staying away from this one. And I'm actually picking Dudikova to win by decision. Next, we got Guram Kudatiladze going against Jordan Vucenic. We got Kudatiladze around minus 215, Vucenic at plus 185. And yeah, I like Guram here. I've never been the biggest Guram Kudatiladze fan out there, but you know, this is going to be a step up for Jordan Vucenic for sure. It's going to be his toughest test by a mile. He's coming in here on short notice. And just looking at this fight stylistically, it's like I feel like Guram does have the takedown defense to keep this standing. I think he's the better wrestler here. Although, you know, Vucenic is a very good grappler. You know, Kudatiladze is no slouch in the grappling department in his own right. And then on the feet, I think Guram's going to be the better striker. So I think Guram can maybe Outstrike Vucenic across 15 minutes. I think he wins by decision, but this is another one that I'm not in love with from a betting perspective. Next, we got Shamil Gaziev going against Dontel Mays. I have a 1-unit bet on Shamil Gaziev to win in round 1 or round 2 at plus 140. I think it's the best way to play Shamil, who's now approaching minus 300 on some books. Dontel Mays is a guy that doesn't seem to like getting hit. Like, I think this could look a little bit like the Martin Buday fight, where Gaziev not marched down Martin Buday and eventually got him out of there. I feel like that is very much on the table here. I also feel like if Gaziev gets his fight down to the mat, he's very live to finish Dontel Mays, who's been finished on the mat, several times in his career. Got TKO'd by, I think it was Alan Crowder on the Contender Series. He got submitted by Nascimento. He got submitted by Cyril Gane. So yeah, I just feel like Gaziev has multiple opportunities to finish this fight within the first round and a half, 2 rounds. If this fight does get extended, that's kind of where it gets tricky, because I don't think Gaziev has the best cardio, and if this fight does go over 1.5, I kind of feel like it could get very sloppy, greasy very quickly, and could end up being close. But I'm taking Gaziev here by what I think is his best win condition, and that's the round 1, round 2. This is a guy that's finished all but one of his wins in the first round and a half even. So Gaziev, round 1, round 2, plus 140 for 1 unit. Next, we got Caio Fernandez going against Muhammad Yahya. I'm staying away from this one. I do like Fernandez here. I like him to finish the fight. I just can't get to minus 170 for an inside the distance prop. I think we might be overrating Fernandez like a lot, but at the same time, I just don't see it with Yahya. I mean, this line is it's one of those where it's wide, but Yahya is a guy that I'm just not high on at all. I mean, I thought the Trevor Peek performance was one of the worst performances I've ever seen in my entire life. Even outside the UFC, Yahya's getting hurt, he's getting subbed. So I think Fernandez wins. I think he wins inside the distance. The sub, the knockout prop, they're not great lines. It's just a pass for me. Next, we got Azamat Murzakanov going against Alonzo Menefield. The more I thought about this fight throughout the week, the more I kind of like Murzakanov in a decent amount. I just like Menefield. I'm not sure what his path to victory is. Is he going to go out there and outstrike Murzakanov for 15 minutes? I don't think so. Is he going to go out there and out-wrestle Murzakanov for 15 minutes? I don't think so. Is he going to be the first person to knock out Murzakanov? I guess that would be his path, but I don't think so. I like Murzakanov here. And I think Murzakanov probably knocks out Menefield at some point in this fight. We've seen that Murzakanov has 2 knockout wins in the UFC. Both come in the 3rd round. So yeah, I like the Murzakanov knockout prop. It's plus 125, but got a little bit greedy here, and they have the 2-3 knockout prop combos. I like that. I have a half a unit on it. It's plus 380 for Murzakanov to win by knockout in the 2nd or 3rd round. Plus 380. I think that's solid. Pretty much just fading the first round knockout there, which it could happen in the first round maybe, but I think as the fight goes on, Murzakonov's going to be live to find a finish in the 2nd or 3rd round there. So give me Murzakanov to win by knockout in the 2nd or 3rd round, half a unit, plus 380 there. Next, we got Joel Alvarez going against Elvis Brenner, which in my opinion has fight of the night written all over it. We got 2 violent fighters here, especially Joel Alvarez, who has a 100% finish rate. He's been to decision only once in his entire career. And yeah, this is a fight that I think finishes. I smashed the under 2.5 rounds here. It's my biggest bet of the week. I have 2.5 units on the under 2.5 at minus 150. Seems very generous for a Joel Alvarez fight. And then I also sprinkled the Elvis Brenner 2-3 props, which are very big numbers. Quarter unit on each. Brenner round 2 plus 1,400. Brenner round 3 plus 2,000. I think it's Alvarez early. I think it's Brenner late. Brenner's a guy that has been hurt a lot. Brenner's a guy that has been put into a bunch of bad spots, so I think Alvarez is very live to be the first person to finish Brenner. But if not, if this fight reaches the 2nd round, goes over a round and a half, I think it's going to favor Elvis Brenner, and I think Alvarez is breakable. We've seen Alvarez broken before, and Brenner's a guy that will break you. So Alvarez early, Brenner late. Give me the under 2.5 rounds. I think somebody's getting served here, and I also sprinkled the Brenner 2-3. Mackenzie Dern going against Lupi Godinez. Pass for me. I wouldn't have minded, Lupi plus 140 earlier in the week, but that plus money's completely dried up, and it's now a pick'em, and we'll see where the line even goes from here. But yeah, minus 110. I think it's about right. Like, I feel like Lupi has all the tools to win this fight, but it is going to be a close fight. It's going to be a close fight, probably split decision type fight. I'm going to pick Lupi, but would have liked her a lot better. Plus 140. Next, we got Michael Chiesa going against Tony Ferguson. I do have 2 bets here. The first bet is going to be the fight to end by submission. I have 1.25 units on it at plus 105, and here's why. These guys have 8 losses by submission. Chiesa, when he's losing fights, it's more often than not by submission. And Tony Ferguson, he got submitted by Bobby Green. I mean, that's pretty much all I need to say. He got submitted by Bobby Green. He got submitted by Nate Diaz, which isn't the worst look in the world, but it's kind of how it happened was kind of the bad look to me. So yeah, Chiesa's finished, I think, like 50 to 60% of his wins by submission. I think Chiesa can potentially get, well, he will get into dominant positions, and if he does, I think he can get the sub there. So I think the Chiesa sub is super live. Chiesa's sub is like plus 120. The fight ends by sub is not much worse. I would probably just take the fight ends by sub because I think Ferguson's very live for the submission. Very live for the submission. I know everybody's playing the Ferguson submission prop, including me, because you kind of have to. Plus 1,400 for Tony Ferguson by submission. Have a quarter unit on it. I mean, it just makes a lot of sense, right? Like Chiesa, he loves to get submitted, preferably the Darce. I mean, this guy, Chiesa, has been Darced 3 times in the UFC. Tony Ferguson, hey, he has a good Darce. He has 3 Darce chokes in the UFC. Everything's just kind of adding up. The only thing that I don't like is Tony Ferguson is 40. He's on a 7-fight skid, and these 7 fights have been pretty awful. So, sprinkling Tony sub. We'll see if it hits. I think it makes a ton of sense, especially for plus 1,400. I see why a lot of people are doing it, but I think somebody's getting subbed here regardless. So I love that fight ends by sub, and then also sprinkling Ferguson by sub as well. Next, we got Davison Figueiredo going against Marlon Vera. I like Vera here. It's just, I don't know if there's a point in betting him pre-flop because this guy loves to lose the first round, and I don't think I might bet Vera regardless because he's just so frustrating to bet on. It's like he's going to drop the first round every single time. Happens every single time. And then on top of that, it's like some fights Vera shows up and looks like an absolute killer. And then some fights he just doesn't even show up. It's like he's so frustrating to bet on. Dog or pass? I'm probably going to pass. I'm probably going to look at Vera live. I think this fight does go to decision. It's heavily favored too. I think it's going to be close. It's a weird fight. It's moment winner versus moment winner. Both these guys are typically, hurting their opponents or finishing their opponents, and both these guys are very tough. So it's a pass for me, but Vera as a live entry, we'll see. Maybe. Next, we got Sharon Magomedov going against Mikel Olazechuk here. I like violence. I like the fight won't start round 3. I have 2 units on it at minus 122. Also, don't hate the under 1.5. I think this fight probably ends in the first round, and here's why. Mikel Olazechuk, there's a bunch of narrative things going on, surrounding him. It all started a couple fights ago before the Pereira fight. It's like he had an interview where he's talking about how he doesn't want to have a team. He doesn't want to train, with at a gym because he doesn't want to pay his coaches or whatever. And then he comes in the Pereira fight, he gets finished in 60 seconds. And then he gets finished in 90 seconds by Kevin Hall in his next fight. And then this week on Instagram, he's talking about how if he doesn't win this fight, he's retiring from sports. And he also said that he probably won't win this fight. And apparently at Media Day, he said he was joking. I mean, and he could have been joking, but jokes are supposed to be funny. Like, I don't see the humor in that, Mikel. So, yeah, I mean, this is a guy I really question his heart, his motivation. I feel like he's going to go out there balls to the wall for the first 60 seconds. And if he clips Magomedov, he does. If he doesn't, I think he's going to break here and look for a way out. So I like the under 1.5. I'm personally on the fight won't start round 2, and I got 2 units on it at minus 122 there. And then we got Umar Nurmagomedov going against Corey Sandhagen. I like Umar here. I just don't like the line. I mean, I feel like we're definitely disrespecting Sandhagen a little bit. We're paying that Nurmagomedov tax. I'm a big believer in Nurmagomedov. I feel like this guy could be, or probably will be, a future champion in the very near future as well. And if that's the case, I mean, he's got to go out there and beat Sandhagen. So at the end of the day, I think he wins. But I don't know if I want to lay minus 315. Like, this is going to be his toughest test to date. So nothing's really sticking out here. I guess the only thing that kind of stuck out was I wasn't really expecting Nurmagomedov's sub prop to be like plus 300, so maybe that could be interesting, but I'm actually picking Nurmagomedov by decision. It's going to be a pass for me, but I'm going to take Nurmagomedov here. All right, quick recap. 2 money lines here this week. Both are underdogs. Rolando Bedoya, 1 unit plus 140. Dennis Tuoluen, 1 unit plus 195. Again, I'm not on drugs. Have the Mikel Olazechuk Shara Magomedov fight won't start round 3. 2 units minus 122. Got the Ferguson Chiesa fight ends by submission, 1.25 units plus 105. Ferguson submission quarter unit plus 1,400. 2.5 units on the Brenner. Alvarez under 2.5, minus 150. Got Brenner round 2, quarter unit, plus 1,400. Brenner round 3, quarter unit, plus 2,000. Mirzakhanov to win by knockout in the second or third round, half a unit, plus 380. Have Shamil Gaziev to win in round 1 or round 2, 1 unit, plus 140. Those are the bets. Best of luck, guys, for UFC Abu Dhabi. Don't forget to get your bets in, early start time, and don't forget to check out Best Bet 1 hour prior to the prelims, 11 Eastern time. Come check us out for some best bet there. Leave a like, subscribe, and best of luck for UFC Abu Dhabi. See you guys.